Yeah. Here we go, everybody. Live on YouTube. Are you following the YouTube stream? Do you have YouTube? Yeah, just saying. You don't have to. I'm just saying. Are you on YouTube?
No.
Yeah, just go check it out. You can watch what we're doing. Yeah, we're welcoming in. We're live from Raiders headquarters. I just interviewed the general manager, John Spytek, which was really good. I hope you're going to enjoy that. We did 15 minutes. We just knocked that out. We're going to have Hall of Famer Alen is going to join us. How cool is that? And the great Levi Edwards. The great Levi Edwards. Look at this. I already got a guy in here who wants Brady to be the quarterback and take us to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I've already had a really good day, man. I mean, you sit down and interview a GM of an NFL team, that's always an honor. I never take that lightly. Never take that lightly. Wasn't controversial. He talked about Max Crosby. Really likes Tyler Linderbaum. Wow. Eric Stokes, some of the leadership. Yeah, we're assuming we're getting Fernando, but you don't ask John Spytek who he's taking number one. That would be stupid. So, but he's got a good philosophy on the draft. I think you're going to like it. Ooh, I got some breaking news. Breaking news. We just signed a tequila partnership today, which is freaking unbelievable. Where tequila's coming, tequila's go. We just signed a tequila partnership, which is good. Out of the gate, JT live from Raiders headquarters. How are you not watching this, man? I'm in a classic Raiders button-up, ready to roll today, and we want to hear from you. We're live at headquarters. I just interviewed the general manager of the Raiders, John Spytek. We knocked that out. It was 15 minutes, and we really enjoyed it, so that is ready to go. We're going to play that for you probably within the next hour, and it's fresh and ready and right out of the Raiders oven. Welcome into the show, everybody. JT, good to be in deep Henderson today. And traffic was light, as always, here, and we're going to be here today. I'll be here for a little bit tomorrow, and we're going to have a great weekend. March Madness is rocking in Vegas, if you got a March Madness. And happy opening day for baseball. And how about a round of applause for my Yankees for going 1-0. No cranky Yankee. My wife was worried that we'd see an early sign of cranky Yankee. Early in the season, we have not. Yankees shut out the San Francisco Giants, who, newsflash, they're really bad. The San Francisco Giants are really bad. So if you're going to a San Francisco Giant game, make sure you have cold beer and a lot of food, and you'll all be set there because you're not going to see a lot of great baseball there. That's for sure. So we're ready to roll today. You know how this goes. When I'm in headquarters here and I'm in headquarters, I am always looking to hear from you because I give you an opportunity to get behind the walls of Raider Nation and get into the building where they listen in the building. Because as I was done with the John Spytek interview, I went downstairs for a little bit of lunch, and one of the coaches came up to me and said, "Hey, man, I listen every day. I love what you're saying." And I won't tell you who the coach is. He goes, "I love when you say the housewives." He knows what I'm talking about. He just started laughing. He gave me a fist bump. So they're listening in the building, and we had a big interview here today. I bet you it's the only interview in the entire world where a GM gave 15 minutes before the owners' meeting and the upcoming NFL draft. So we are looking great. We got a big show lined up for you. Hall of Famer Alen will join us. He's in the building next door. Levi Edwards will come in about 20 minutes, and we'll get him going. We'll talk to Levi, and we'll have a lot to say there. And with everything else that's happening, it's kind of a loose, fun day on a Thursday here where we want to just enjoy the atmosphere, because yesterday, as I put out on all social media platforms, was a great day in Las Vegas. Yesterday, we pretty much found out for sure, without it being guaranteed, that the Raiders, Allegiant Stadium, get in the Super Bowl. We're getting the Super Bowl coming up here, which is going to be massive in a couple of years, which is huge for this city and all the people that listen and work here. We're thrilled about that. And then we found out the other news, which was great news, unbelievable news when it goes about the NBA coming here. So a lot of people last night, as they were watching the late local news with the dean of the newsmen, Chris Matthews, and no matter who you listen to or watch, Vince Sapienza, Kevin Bollinger, everybody's talking about the NBA in town yesterday, and everybody's giving out opinions on when the NBA is going to get here. So if you'd like to talk about that because you digested the content yesterday and you'd like to talk more about it and give us your opinion on the location of the NBA, where should the arena be? Who should be the owner of the team? All of that, I'd really like to hear from you, especially those local in Vegas. And again, we're live on YouTube where we should have thousands of people watching me all the time, and we should have more. So you can subscribe for free and get inside headquarters today. Go to YouTube, JT the Brick. It's right there. It's in my bio on X. Just click on for free. It takes under 10 seconds to just hit subscribe, and you'll get everything as it gets going. Other big news today, which I can't announce. We just signed our radio show, a really big deal. This show with a really nice tequila, because Raider Nation loves tequila. I mean, if there's ever been a fit for my show, I've had a couple of tequilas over the years on the show, but when we just went big boy radio with that, so I got a little extra pep in my step. So we'll tell you all about that next week as we get going. But exciting day today. You'll hear the conversation with John Spytek coming up here, a little tease about what we talked about. He addressed Max Crosby and the deal with Baltimore and how he was able to pivot on the fly, which I thought was really interesting in our conversation on how he was doing that deal. Max Crosby left to go to Baltimore, and Spytek was cooking at that point, signing everybody. And then Max Crosby came back into the building. In all my years of doing this for the Raiders, we have never seen anything remotely like this, not even close to what just happened here. He'll take you and tell you what happened from his perspective. Not a deep dive, because there shouldn't be a deep dive on something that happened like that. The Ravens have their private opinions, and the Raiders have their private opinions. For those who want details on Max, you might remember the comments that the Raiders put out on social media, which was no comment. Let me remind everybody, when the deal fell apart with Baltimore, the Raiders put out social media, and they said no comment. And the Raiders pretty much stand there still. The Raiders have moved on from that. It could have been really ugly. It's not really ugly because Max Crosby's in the building. So there's not a lot of gossip there. The people that got it wrong and thought that Max was going to be traded or where he was going to go or what's going to happen next, they're still chirping. What a week for Dan Orlovsky. Listen to what Dan Orlovsky's doing to Raider Nation. And let me phrase this correctly. I like Dan Orlovsky. I think he's a good content provider. I think every time he goes on TV as a former quarterback, he gives you opinions. He should be giving you opinions. That's what he gets paid to do. But he basically told you that Ty Simpson's better than Mendoza. Yes, he did. He said, look, and he's fair to say that. He looked at the tape. He likes Ty Simpson more. Okay. Now he's trying to trade Max Crosby. Listen to this sound from earlier as Dan Orlovsky is still talking about the Raiders and Raiders personnel, this time Mad Max. That's a very interesting soundbite. Basically, what Dan Orlovsky is saying is that Max Crosby is still available. Let's assume that's true. I don't think he is. I'm in the building. I don't think he is. I think Max is happy and Max is back. But let's say that Dan Orlovsky is right and Max Crosby is still available in some type of deal. Dan Orlovsky, on the record, is encouraging Howie Roseman, one of the great deal makers of the modern NFL, to do the Raiders dirty and do a cheaper deal. What did I get wrong? That's exactly what he said on Get Up on ESPN. Hey, man, Max Crosby, the deal isn't dead yet. You can still get him. Look at what the Eagles did getting Saquon Barkley. He was accurate to say that. They got Saquon Barkley at a really cheap price. Do you know that the New York Football Giants got nothing for Saquon Barkley? Can you believe how bad that is? But Raider Nation knows that we let Josh Jacobs roll out of here, and he's a pretty good player. It's not the first time someone let a really good player go. But now Dan Orlovsky thinks that that could be similar. Like the Raiders are going to go out of their way to do a below-market deal with Philadelphia, probably the best team in football, or top three. They're a top three team in football. Their roster's loaded. And that we, the Raider Nation, should listen to him and say, yeah, go cherry pick Max. Max is worth maybe not two first. He's worth a first and a second, or a first and a player. That's exactly what he did today. I'm losing my patience with Dan Orlovsky. I'm losing my patience. I am losing it. And I'm trying to figure out what's happening here. So I've been saying this for a while as we take a look at this. Leave the Raiders alone now. Can everybody just leave the Raiders alone and figure out what's going to happen next in the draft? I don't mind if people take shots. And they go out there and they're taking shots and they're trying to figure out exactly what's going to happen. But listen, the way I look at it here, I don't know what to tell you. The way I look at it here, I think this team is kind of not loaded, not completely loaded. But I'll tell you this team's done really well. This team has done really well in the last couple of weeks. Far better than anybody in Raider Nation thought. There's not one Raider fan throughout Raider Nation that thinks the Raiders took a step back. Now, the Raiders are supposed to take a massive step forward, right? They're supposed to take a massive step forward. And because they were the worst team in football. They got the number one pick overall. So you're obviously going to be improved. Obviously, you're going to be better. But the issue becomes now, how can the Raiders become dramatically better very quickly here? And they've already taken the first step. The first step was obvious. They got dramatically better with Kwity Paye. They got the two Georgia linebackers who are unbelievable to go out and get Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. They re-signed Malcolm Kuntz. They brought in Kwity Paye. Eric Stokes was brought back due to his leadership and the ability that he played really good last year. So everything's okay. Everything's okay. So I just want to get your opinion on what you would like to see next other than Mendoza. Other than Mendoza, what do you think is going to be the next issue that becomes really a priority for you? For me, it's obviously going to be who's going to be the second round pick. What's going to be the second round pick? And who is that player going to be? Is he going to be a wide receiver? Or is he going to be a right tackle? Is it going to be a defensive tackle? I can tell you from being in the building today that there's no doubt in my mind that a defensive tackle is a priority. I really believe it's going to be a bit of a priority. And we got to get into that. So nose tackle, as Kenny Clark says, thank you, Kenny, on our YouTube stream. This is where you can hit me directly. I don't read text messages from the phone. I read my chat. You can get into the chat and say, what's the need? Because we are in need season. We're in the season of need now. We need to know from you what the Raiders need to do as a priority and what that priority will be. Yeah, priority is a defensive tackle. What the hell have we been doing around here the last couple of years? How many defensive tackles have the Raiders already went out there and got it? So when it comes to all of that, we are in a position now where the Raiders have to pounce. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. You're going to have to see the Raiders and John Spytek, as I wrapped up my interview with him, John Spytek clearly is going to be someone who knows that he has a chance to pounce. That was my body language vibe from him when I was done with him. Now we're talking about someone who knows he probably had a pretty good offseason. And now the icing on the cake, what would be the epitome of this team doing well would be killing it in the draft. They're going to kill it with the number one pick overall, Fernando Mendoza. They're going to kill it with that. And then they're going to be able to pop in there and maybe do another deal or two, maybe move up It's another tease. John Spytek told me about their 10 draft picks. He told me, quote, maybe more. Okay. All right. I heard that and I was like, okay, he's cooking. He's cooking. He's got something going here. But I'm not a fan of the 3-4 with Max Crosby. I'm not a fan of the 3-4. I've always told you I'm a 4-3 guy. I like to run the 4 down linemen because now we can do it because we have 2 human seeking missiles who are playing linebacker for this team in Kobe Dean and Quay Walker, that they don't have to come off the field. Rarely they can play. I don't know how great they are in coverage. We'll still talk more and break down the tape. But with everything that we're going to see here going forward, it was so nice that the Raiders got Kwity Paye and they were able to get Walker and Dean. Those are 3 good players, everybody. Forget about Crosby being back in the building and Malcolm Kuntz and Eric Stokes being back, right? Those are starters. Malcolm Kuntz is here to be a starter. I don't think Malcolm Kuntz is going to start every play. I think that Malcolm Kuntz will line up in a 3-4 or 4-3 and he'll be out there, but doesn't mean he's going to be out there to start every drive. Because I think Malcolm Kuntz can probably do a better job playing outside edge rush linebacker than edge rusher. I wasn't impressed with Malcolm Kuntz last year. I wasn't. So whatever the Raiders decide to do, they added a lot of defenders to this team. They added some good defensive players to this team. And that changes my perception what they need overall. I talked to a Hall of Famer today on the ride in who said to me off, I could say it on the record. I'm not going to say his name. You can figure it out. We got to get better at wide receiver. We got to get better. He said we got to get bigger and better. And I agree. The Raiders have a chance in the second round to get the best wide receiver left. The best of the first round wide receivers are going to be available for the Raiders early in the second round. If the Raiders draft a young wide receiver who's capable of being a wide receiver 1, I'm good with that. No complaints from me. There are a lot of good scouts in this building. If they say that wide receiver we're going to put in, that means that wide receiver has got to be better than Jack Besh, and Jack will push back and say, no, I'm the guy. Got to be better than Trey Walker. You look at Trey, he was a pretty good player, but he's not elite. Then you look, I think, a really good player that they just brought in, when you can get a wide receiver like Jalen Nailor, who's good. He's good. He could be elite. Jalen Nailor could be an interesting player. He was buried in depth. He was a depth player that was buried in depth. He could evolve to technically be a number 2 wide receiver. I doubt number 1, but I hope I'm wrong. But we're talking about going out there and getting a wide receiver for Mendoza who's going to be a dog. And he better be good. Deontay Thornton Jr. really struggled last year. Really did. But the coaches struggled more. I'm sitting in the same seat that I interviewed Pete Carroll for 17 weeks. Same seat where I interviewed Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll did not do a very good job, and he got relieved of his duties. He hired his son for the offensive line. It wasn't a good hire, to say the least. And most of the coaches are not back. Just a handful, including Robbie Leonard, who's the defensive coordinator. So the coaching is going to have to be significantly better. And I think the coaching is really going to improve on the offensive line. And if it does improve on the offensive line, the Raiders will have the ability to be better really quickly. Really quickly. Everybody on the chat wants more defense. I can understand why. You need another corner. You do. You can't start the season with Caillou Blue Kelly and Darian Porter. What were we thinking? What were we thinking? We didn't have anybody else. Eric Stokes was good. He's a good player. He was re-signed. The rest of the players were a work in progress. Cam Richardson is not the answer. You need new corners in here who can play. And if you went to LSU, if you went to Ohio State, if you went to Texas, if you played in a big SEC school in the Big Ten, and they scout you out here in this building and they think you can play, I'm good with that. But I've seen too many Fabian Washington, too many Garyon Connollys, too many players that have been drafted here to play corner. DJ Hayden, who just couldn't play. Oh my God, where would this franchise have been the last 20 years if we didn't miss completely and whiff at the defensive back position? I mean, around these parts, we praise Nnamdi Asomugha. Nnamdi Asomugha is not going to the Hall of Fame. Eric Allen, who's going to join us, is in the Hall of Fame. We need to find someone like Eric Allen, who when Eric Allen came into the league, no one was saying, man, that guy's going to go to the Hall of Fame someday. But he proved to be that type of player. If you want to get a player like Charles Woodson or Rod Woodson, friend of the show, you got to have a high draft pick. You got to have a big draft pick, so I don't expect to get guys like that. But how about trying to find the next Lester Hayes? How about trying to find the next Skip Thomas? How about trying to find someone who can come into this building and doesn't need their hand held and need to be on the backfield developing on how to do bump and run? Can we get some guys in the building who can do the bump and run and can cover and can run and do it all? Why is it so difficult for young cornerbacks to come into the league and play? Well, I'll tell you why. Because when they come into the league, they're coming out of college, and the receivers they have to guard are grown-ass men who are 6'4" and 225 pounds and beat them up. We have to stop that here. We need more physicality. I think Jeremy Chin has that type of physicality. Isaiah Palomal, I like Isaiah Palomal, but he's a guy that could easily lose his job if a better safety comes in. The rest of it I feel pretty good about. Rest of everything looks pretty good. Tyler Linderbaum, are you nuts? You know what that guy's going to do to this offensive line? When he pulls from center and starts just obliterating people on the edge, I mean, it's going to be fun to see. So we're going to have a big show today. My conversation with John Spytek coming up here in a little bit. Levi Edwards will join us in a few minutes, and we'll try to get you up here. If you're watching on the stream, you know when I'm on the road here, it's different with the callers, so deal with it. And you can hear me. My name's on the show. We'll try to get you some caller audio, but our priority is the radio. We want people listening on radio. So if you want to have the app on, you can have the app on and watch the show or do whatever makes you feel good. All right, so let's get it going. Right out of the gate, Jose from Brooklyn, or Joe, is on the line. Joe, what's happening? Start us off. I'm doing well. What's up with you? I disagree with you. Hold on. I disagree with you. Hold on. Let me finish. I disagree with you. I don't think that Dan Orlovsky, please let me finish. I don't believe that Dan Orlovsky goes to work every day looking for clicks. He's got a wife and a family, a job. I don't think he's driving into the studio in New York and Bristol looking for clicks. I just think he has opinions that you and I don't agree with, but you're making it out to be personal. I don't think he's doing this personally. He's just giving you opinions. What Orlovsky pointed out was in big games, Indiana was losing late in the fourth quarter with no points or 7 points in games. McAfee wasn't pointing that out. He needed Orlovsky to point it out. And Orlovsky's a guest on the show. You don't go on someone's radio show or television show to be embarrassed by 6 guys sitting around, 4 of them in costumes, trying to make fun of a guest. Not many people do that. So my point is, I think Orlovsky deserves a little bit of credit to go into the Lions' den where he knows he's going to be made fun of by other people other than the host who's really good and really successful. And he goes in there and he takes some swings on his opinions. So what do you disagree with him on that? What do you disagree? All right. Okay. I appreciate your point. I don't agree with it. I appreciate he has a differing opinion than all of us in Raider Nation who want to win with Mendoza. Did you think that I told you this before anyone in sports media, that people were going to disagree that Mendoza is a slam dunk superstar, number one pick overall. So Dan Orlovsky comes in and does it, and he doesn't do it yelling and screaming. He doesn't act like a clown. He's telling you that he analyzed all the tape, and he thinks that Ty Simpson's better. I disagree, but I don't work at ESPN, and I didn't play quarterback in the league. You better believe I want to hear his opinions. So when you hear all of these people with opinions, most of them are the same. Most of the opinions are what we like. Mendoza's a rock star. Mendoza's going to be great. Mendoza's going to be really good. All of this stuff that's going on, we all agree is okay. The issue that bothers Raider Nation and me a bit is that Orlovsky now is suggesting a trade of Max Crosby to the Eagles. That bothers me. But he gets paid to do that too. So what would it have changed? Would it have changed if Orlovsky said, Jerry Jones is getting really, really old. By the way, Jerry's getting really old. I was here when Mr. Davis, at the end of his life, Mr. Davis was taking big swings to try to win at the end of his life. I encouraged that. I loved it. Mr. Davis, near the end of his life, when he wanted to win one last time, took another team back to the Super Bowl. Another team. It had Jerry Rice, Rod Woodson. I mean, unbelievable players, along with young players like Sebastian Janikowski and Charles Woodson. Why did Mr. Davis do that? Because he wanted to win a Super Bowl near the end of his life. Well, Jerry wants to do the same, and Jerry's connected to Al, Mr. Davis. Why isn't Jerry going after Max Crosby? Why? Whatever it takes, just go get Max Crosby. You're going to have a much better team in Dallas. Who cares, Jerry, about the draft? You already got Dak. You already got Pickens. You already got CeeDee Lamb. If you can't win with those guys now and even make the playoffs or do anything big, don't you want to add Max Crosby? If Orlovsky said that identically to what I said, I wouldn't have a problem with it. And I want to keep Max here. So Dan Orlovsky made a lot of news this week. He really did. He made a lot of news this week. And I don't think he did it on purpose. I don't think he's a hot take guy. I don't. Because I know a lot of hot take guys. I know personally a lot of hot take guys who their goal when they get in up in the morning is to race bait, to use race to generate engagement, black or white race, and they get up in the morning and they want to create drama. Dan Orlovsky doesn't want to create drama. He's just got opinions that are different than yours. That's the monologue. 702-365-9200 as we are live from Raiders headquarters. If you follow us on stream on YouTube, I talk to everybody during the breaks. We also thank everybody who sponsors our show. Today, we thank Finley Volvo Las Vegas. Right there, I drove by it. I'm going to drive by it on the way home today. Right off the 215 in Rainbow, directly across the freeway from UFC headquarters. You need a new vehicle. You need a pre-owned vehicle. You like a lease? I like a lease. I don't buy a lot of new cars. I love leasing cars, have since I've been in my 20s. It's smart to do. I don't want to depreciate a car, but if you want a new car, Mike's going to put a deal together for you at Volvo. If you want to lease an EV or a hybrid, man, those vehicles are nice. From the stereos to the safety to everything what you do with a Volvo, proud partner of our show. When we come back, Levi Edwards in studio. Hey, chat, guess what he's going to be wearing? Levi always wears a shirt and a hat combination. It's a shirt and a hat combination. I'm not a combination guy. I'm not. I like a polo. I like the Lululemon. The black Lululemons are great. You know, a nice dress shoe today I wore, a nice little dress shoe because I was interviewing John Spytek. But Levi's going to come in with some type of combination. So let's go, and we'll come back on the other side, live from Raiders headquarters right here on a big day. The general manager, John Spytek, is going to join us as we continue on the flagship. This is Raider Nation Radio. Yeah, Bobby. What a bloody day, huh? What an ugly day. Was it all about the lawsuit? Zuckerberg? Yeah. I'm in the middle of the radio show, so I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta call you afterwards. Okay. I'll call you back. I gotta go. So, guys, here's what pisses me off. I want you to watch this YouTube feed. It's not your fault. It's mine. The audio sucks on this Yeti mic. So all the callers in my chat disrupting me. Can't hear the call. Can't hear anything. So I got to figure out a way how to take this and have sound come into it that isn't distorted. So have the YouTube page up if you can. It's really easy on YouTube. I mean,
is it on Raiders Live?
No, I'm on JT the Brick on YouTube. Go to YouTube. Go to YouTube and put in search. I'll show you. All right, we're trying to fix this, guys. Be right with you. So we're good. We're good. I'm just trying to get this Yeti mic stuff figured out. Pisses the hell out of me that I can't get this right. It has nothing to do with you guys. It's just there's these headsets on top of these Yetis. I'm trying to get callers and guest audio into this feed, and the only way I can figure it out is doing this, and the listeners are like, this is trash. So I got to figure out how to thread that needle better. So I'll show you how to watch this. Yeah, there it is. Okay, now listen to it.
We can talk after.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah, perfect. Good. Now we're better. See, so that audio is what we're trying to get for our listeners there. Other than that, everything's good. Not on you at all.
No. Yeah,
I'm just trying to get that caller audio better.
I'll be right back.
Yep. No need to mute the mic. This is live radio. That's why we like to edit this broadcast when it's done. All right, we got Levi coming in. We'll get Levi here. Hey, James, when I say when we come back, that's when you start the music. When I'm going to break, okay?
Yes, sir.
You got it. All right. All right. Let's get this going. Let's get a little Levi action in here.
So do you want me to have this volume on? I thought it was meant to be
No,
quiet.
I just want you to listen in the other room when not now, but when we have a guest on or a caller, how the audio sounds when I'm not talking.
In there.
Well, you could do it there. I don't think it's going to come over. You can hear it. Yeah.
I'll have it.
But you know what I'm talking about? Like the stream. What I'm trying to explain is that my voice is coming through this YouTube perfectly.
Okay.
The callers and the guest
I
aren't.
can't hear you.
Not because we have to hear through this. So we have to make sure this is dialed in right.
So it's this is the problem.
Or just the how close it is to the mic or how if it's distorted or not.
Okay.
So that's it. All right, we're good to go, everybody. Hey, I just found out that Phil Villapiano has got a role in the new Raider movie about John Madden. Yeah, he's going to be in the movie, Phil Villapiano. And Miles Burris is playing him. I have a roadcaster, my friend. I'm all good. I'm working in a Raider studio today. I'm not connected to a roadcaster. JT back live in Raiders headquarters. In about 20 minutes or so, my conversation with the great John Spytek. Yeah, he's been hot. He's been cooking, as everybody likes to say. So we are ready to roll with John Spytek. Also, that interview will be up on the Raiders YouTube channel. So if you want to go to the Raiders YouTube, you'll be able to get it there and see what we did just a little while before the show as we're opening up right here. We're going to kind of like calls today. We got Eric Alen in studio, which is going to be gold. I'm surprised EA isn't at Padres opening day today. He's a huge Padre fan. We're going to be talking some Padre baseball. I can promise you there. You Dodger fans, as you know, this is big now. You're starting off this year. I think you're unbeatable. And I hate to say that because I'm a Yankee fan, but that's what happens. And if you're a Dodger fan now, you got to believe that you can win every game. You got to believe that you're the best team by far in baseball. My Yankees playing the Giants isn't a good litmus test. They're playing a really bad team, but the Yankees are loaded and their pitching is much better than it was last year. But the Dodgers are loaded, and the only thing that can stop the Dodgers are injuries, and I don't root for injuries. I want everybody to be healthy at full strength. I want when the Raiders play a team, for a team to be completely healthy. I don't look forward to a quarterback getting injured or a quarterback never ready to play. And that's the way I look at the Dodgers. All right, we got Levi Edwards who joins us here from our digital team. And God, has this guy been busy. From free agency to the draft, Levi joins us. Would you say this, because of the draft upcoming, is one of your busiest times of the year when it comes to your analysis?
Yeah, it really is busy, just from the perspective of, obviously, we kind of already have a good idea of what's going to happen with the number one pick overall. So now you're doing a lot of digging and diving into guys that are on the back end of the draft, like guys in the second round, day 3. So really just trying to get to know those guys to see what potential draft picks could be. I think that that's been a lot busier, especially with the large free agent class as well. So just a lot of really good stuff going on right now.
I'm getting a lot of heat today, which I shouldn't be getting from our esteemed audience and in the chat. You're familiar with our stream, because I'm defending Dan Orlovsky. I'm defending his right to have an opinion. Okay, I don't think he's a hot take guy. I know who the hot take guys are. A lot of them are on other places that are, you can figure out the names of them if you want to go to Fox Sports 1 or you want to go to guys who left radio for politics. I know the hot take guys. Dan Orlovsky isn't one of them. I just don't agree with him. And he's stirring the pot again today because he's talking about maybe Howie Roseman should revisit Max and go make a run with the Raiders and kind of rob the Raiders. Like Orlovsky almost made it clear, like, yeah, if I'm Howie, I go to the Raiders and try to get a better deal, which means we're getting the worst part of that deal. If you don't get a great deal for Max, and I don't think 2 first-rounders were a great deal. I didn't love the 2 first-rounders. I could care less about the 14th pick, and I could care less about next year's pick. That probably would have been 23 or 24. I could have gave a crap about that. But now I care less about getting a first and a third for Max because I think Max is going to be the anchor of this franchise going forward.
Yes, it's one of those things where I will honestly say I kind of disagree a little bit in the sense that I do think the Ravens did have a really good offer. And if you hit on those 2 first-round picks, then I think that you're in a very good situation. But, woulda, coulda, shoulda have been, it's over with now. I am interested to see if Max Crosby is still moved, just from the perspective that it already happened. It's already something that, came to be. And I find it very difficult for, even though, yes, it seems like he's invested right now and he's with the team now, knowing that it has already happened, it shows me that the Raiders are willing to do it. So who's to say that if they don't do it today, they won't do it tomorrow or next month or at the trade deadline? But at the same time, I don't think that your value should go down. I think that especially with this next upcoming season, Max Crosby getting healthy, if anything, the price for Max Crosby will go up if they decide to move him. So these comments about the Eagles coming in, Howie Roseman coming in and, screwing over the Raiders with a deal that's not as good, I feel like that's very unlikely. I think the Raiders, if they do decide to move from Max Crosby at some point, if they need to continue to stay, steadfast within what they feel they can get for him. And honestly, I thought the 2 first-round picks was a pretty good deal, especially if you can hit on those 2 first. And they're not like, the late first round. They're not like 29, 30. 14, especially in this draft class, I feel like you could have done.
You're only guaranteed 14. You're not guaranteed anything next year. Next year could have been 27. If you bring Max Crosby to the Ravens, and the Ravens, at a minimum, have to go to the AFC Championship game. Denver went to the AFC Championship game with Bo Nix. They would have Max Crosby and Lamar Jackson. So that would be them getting to the AFC Championship game or bust. And if they got there, the Raiders would be getting a 26, 27, 28 pick in the first round. I'll take the 3rd pick in the 2nd round and keep Max Crosby. But,
that's fair.
But 14 is a valuable pick in the first round.
I think 14 would have been a valuable pick, and for next year, I feel like, yes, that could have been one. You never know how the Ravens season could go, especially with how things went this year with injuries, and the guys are getting older and they weren't able to pay a lot of their guys that left in free agency, including the great center Tyler Lindenbaum. So you don't know how that could have ended up. But at the end of the day, even if it was a low-end pick at the first round, all the Raiders would have to do is try to trade their pick and the Ravens pick and move up to get their guy next year, and then you're still in a good spot. Once again, all hypothetical things that will not happen, did not happen. But in the case that the Raiders do get another very good offer with the same kind of value, I feel like it would be very hard for them to ignore it.
Levi Edwards in studio wearing Raiders gear, Raider hat. Very disappointing to the chat. They wanted some combination like a Cadillac hat and a Prince shirt, a Michael Jackson shirt, and some other hat. Any reason for the full Raider combo today?
It was a very lazy decision. I didn't feel like actually trying to go out of my way to put on a really top-notch fit. And so obviously I have the most Raider stuff in my closet. It was the easiest to locate. It's the first thing in the shelf when I walk in my closet. Is I have a whole rack of Raider t-shirts. I have a whole rack of Raider hats from over the years. And that's really the decision-making, just pure laziness.
All right, we are in need season. This is something I feel like I'm an expert at in sports radio. Let's not do bad draft talk. We don't want your 7th-round pick. We don't care about your 7th-round pick. We don't care about your 5th-round pick on the radio. We don't care. It's not engaging. It's not important. But we do care about the Raiders' biggest need. And I am in need season. And in your appearances coming up here, and there's going to be plenty before and after the draft, where do you sit today? It will change, maybe not, on what the biggest need for the Raiders is after assuming Mendoza at 1.
That's the issue. And I know I have to go and be like, oh, yeah, there's one need.
No, you don't. Just give me 1 or 2.
There's like 2 or 3 for
Okay.
sure, because you still need to continue to add depth in the offensive line to protect Fernando Mendoza, considering he's your number 1 pick. You still need to get him receivers, because obviously you expect for Jack Besh and Dante Thornton and Trey Tucker to have this, massive leap. But based off of what I saw last year, you can't necessarily bank on that. You still need to probably bring in another receiver, as well as, you get it in Jalen Naylor. And then on the back, and I think the Raiders did a lot this offseason to really secure a really good front 7, but you still need to improve on that secondary. You got to get another safety. You got to get another corner, either a veteran guy or somewhere in the draft. I think a lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of questions about, are the Raiders going to get a nose tackle? Yeah. And I think that they definitely will invest in the position, but because I think people are just like, okay, well, it's going to be a 3-4, so now they have to go get this big space heater nose tackle to fit the system. And that is true, but I do think that Thomas Booker and Adam Butler and Tonka Hemingway are guys that will be able to fulfill that, and you add in Jonah Laulu in there as well. So I feel like that's not as big of a need as safety or corner, but definitely throw that in there as well.
All right, so this is really important to me. Would you say that the best nose tackle, D tackle in football could be Jalen Carter of Philly? One of the top 2 or 3?
Him or Jordan Davis.
Okay. So if we don't get a guy like that, I don't want to hear about anybody else in the 3rd or 4th round because of the guys you just mentioned. You just mentioned a bunch of guys who are guys. They're okay.
Right.
I need one of those 2 guys that are going to stay in this building, become Pro Bowlers, not guys. We've had too many guys. So if we're going to draft a nose tackle, which you, myself and a lot of people agree, is a priority, he better be a dog. He better be a nightmare type of player. But is that player going to exist in the second and third round?
The only guy that I can think of, and I've been writing a lot about this guy in recent weeks, is Cade McDonald from Ohio State. I think that is the best bet for you to be able to get a dog at that position that can be a high-impact player right now at nose. I think Peter Woods from Clemson is another one of those guys who I really like at nose who could be there. Lee Hunter, those are dogs. Those are guys that I feel can be immediate contributing factors to that defense. The only problem is will they be there? At 36, especially in this draft, and with it being such a premium position, I don't know. I think Cade McDonald has a good chance. I think, Lee Hunter might have a good shot because his combine, his speed, and, his metrics weren't as great as what everybody assumed, even though when you put on the tape, he's insane. Peter Woods, I don't expect to be there at 36, but he very well could. So it definitely is a possibility. And if anything, the Raiders would just have to trade up a few spots early in the second or late back into the first to try to get that guy.
It's not a great wide receiver room. Some people in the industry rate it the worst. I mean, the worst out of all the teams. I'm like, wait, I won't go that far.
I wouldn't go that far.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't think it's not a top 20. And you got to get a top 20 if you're bringing in Mendoza. But they leave out Bowers. Every conversation about the Raiders' depth at receiver leaves out Bowers. So let me try something different with everybody here. Here's what I believe should be the concept going forward. Get Bowers' numbers to be like they were 2 years ago. Elite wide receiver-esque numbers. Get him back there again. He's healthy. He's going to be great. Number two, so you have that. You've got to get Michael Mayer to have good tight end numbers. Not blocking tight end numbers. Not special teams tight end numbers. Get him up over 50 receptions, tight end numbers. Then you got Brock as a wide receiver hybrid. You got Michael Mayer putting up 50-plus receptions. Then start from there. Then tell me what's going to happen in the draft. Go get me a number 1 or a number 2 in the second or third round. But until Mayer and Bowers have a combination of a number that's so impressive, the Raiders are going to get a lot of criticism for not having great wide receiver depth.
Yeah, no, and no matter what, even with Brock and with Michael Mayer, obviously I'm really confident that Clint Kubiak is going to be able to utilize a lot of 12 personnel. Mm-hmm. I also believe that his 13 personnel and his 21, 22 were some of the highest rated in the league last year in terms of usage. He used not a lot of 22 personnel, but definitely top 5 in the league among usage. And then he was about top 15 in 13 and 12 personnel as well, with using 2 tight ends, 3 tight ends. So I feel very confident for him to be able to craft up a lot to make sure that Michael Mayer is more involved. Plus, with the fact Michael Mayer needs to stay healthy, of course, because that's been kind of an issue over the last 2 years. But at the end of the day, even with Brock Bowers and what he can do, we saw he's still capable of being a number 1 pass catcher. But the reason why Brock Bowers went crazy his rookie years because he had a Jacoby Myers. Mm-hmm. He had people that also took attention off of him where he could get these one-on-one matchups. And last year, you see most defenses putting all of their attention, all of their effort into making sure they stop Brock Bowers, because who else are you going to stop? If you're stopping, who else is there to worry about? And so that's what the Raiders really need to focus on, is either developing the guys currently on the roster to become those dudes to take attention off of Brock Bowers, or they need to go and they need to get someone either in the second round or the third round who's going to do it for him.
You can't be liking 90-plus degrees in March, man. I dropped that into you. I put you in the kitchen in June or July or August. I've seen you handle it, but you don't want this in March, right?
No. And that's, I guess, what's so crazy about living in Las Vegas is once it becomes 80 or 90, as long it gets to a point now where as long as it's not 115 when I walk outside, I'm good. And I think that's the issue with just kind of like the desert and the heat. Is just like, okay, well, I'm not baking today. It's not 100, it's not 105 out. So I'm fine. I can go about my day, perfectly fine. But it's still like the normal person doesn't want to deal with 95, 96 degree weather in March. But living here for as long as I have, I've just become accustomed to it, which is insane.
Yeah, just come out to Summerlin with my sons and get in the pool. It's 5 degrees cooler, man.
Oh, yeah.
Up there where we live in Summerlin.
Right by downtown Summerlin.
Yeah, right around there. It's 5 degrees cooler, man. The pool's ready.
You know what's funny is I've never been in my apartment pool. I've lived in my apartment complex for like 6 years, and we have an infinity pool, and I've yet to get into it. Yeah, so
That is shocking to me.
it is shocking. I think I need to change that. I need to make sure I get into a pool at some point very soon.
30 seconds. Where should we be looking for content? What's the next big thing you're working on?
We got a lot of good stuff coming out on Raiders.com. Obviously, you had a really good interview that you just had with John Spytek that a lot of people are going to be able to see pretty soon. And I'm going to write a little piece on that, just kind of talking about, but more importantly, just talking about the guys on day 2, day 3 of the draft that Raider Nation should be, looking at, keeping an eye on. That's going to be the content that we're really going to be honing in on over the next month.
Thank you, Levi. That's the great Levi Edwards. When we come back, our conversation with John Spytek is loading up. You'll be able to hear that. It's also on the Raiders YouTube. It'll be on my YouTube. Eric Alen in studio. Wow, we're going to talk about a lot of different things. And excited about opening day in baseball. This should be a national holiday. Even though there was a game last night, America should be off on baseball's opening day because it's America's pastime. Thank you, my friend. Very, very good. Very, very good. Thank you. You're a pro.
I try.
You're good. Everything good?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. No, it's just funny. I was out of breath on that first question because I ran straight up here from the cafeteria.
That's all right, man.
So once I caught my breath, man, I was fine.
See, we're still at the point where we remind Levi that radio, you have to be on time.
Yeah.
But he's starting to learn that. That's why I'm mentoring Levi. He's very good. Very good. We'll be right back here, everybody. Right back. Let me see, where's that? There we go. Yeah, we're good. Thank you. That was fun. Got EA, I got Spytek. That's a good day. Yeah.
What am I doing right here?
He's supposed to be just minor levels.
Oh,
Because I'm working something else.
that makes sense.
Yeah, we're doing UFR.
Yeah, no, I saw y'all doing like nice little special studio UFR.
Yeah, special studio because he's in here right now. So we're doing, we had Jacob Fatsu.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we're in the studio real quick with a Zoom call.
Yeah, no, Hannibal. Where's Hannibal? There you go. Yeah, he ripped all of the
Mark, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good song. That's cool. That's hella good.
Thanks.
Yeah. So yeah, Ryan's just grabbing lunch right now. He's gonna be back in and work the rest of the show.
Yeah, no, I didn't know if he was like starting to do more like.
We're trying to show him a little bit. We're just short-handed on this type of stuff right now.
Yeah.
Just for today, because we're doing like 3-4 productions right now. So.
Yeah, no, that's why I was good. When he told me to come in the studio, I was like, I'm gonna do a UFR.
Okay, I got you.
But now it makes all sense. How have you been, JT?
I'm good, my friend. Thank you. Just came back from a trip with Little Brick, little golf trip. Doing good stuff around the house and just trying to go dark until the draft. This is our off season.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, I'm kind of in the same boat.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Family's good?
Yeah, family's good.
Good.
Yeah. Hopefully, after the draft, after we get through OTAs and mini camp, I'll go down to Charlotte, see my little brother.
You should do that.
Yeah. Try to get out.
Get away whenever you can, my friend.
Hell yes.
Yes. All right, guys. James, how we doing? Short segment. So get in my ear. Just talk in my ear and say 1 minute, and I'll go to break when we're at a minute. Got it. Yeah, we're still waiting. They haven't turned it around yet, so we're waiting on them too. Got it. All right, how we doing, everybody? Everybody good in there? Let me get in the chat. Let's get in there. Got a good crew in there today. Monopoly Man Morgan. That's a new name for me. What are my overall thoughts on Netflix baseball? That's why the chat's so important. I'm going to go kill Netflix right now. I'm going to go decapitate Netflix right now. Hey, could you see pull up the Raiders YouTube? Did the Spytek load there? I'm getting my head ripped off in the stock market today. I mean, bloody, like a bloody day.
It's not up yet.
It's not up there. It would probably also, I would assume they're going to put that up on the Raiders Twitter at some point, right?
They should at least put a teaser on there for the Raiders Twitter.
Okay.
Teaser with a link for that. Raiders Twitter, the app, and YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I think Bay Area Raider knows what I'm talking about. I'm getting my face ripped off today. JT, short segment. We're back with you. Just a couple of people asked me what I thought of the Netflix broadcast last night. We're brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, only one place to go, 2 for 1. The brothers, Alex and Orlando DeCastroverde, brothers win, brotherswin.com. The Netflix broadcast anchored by L. Duncan with Bert Kreischer, and I thought CC Sabathia, friend of Raider Nation, was good. He was good in the booth. That was one of the worst sports broadcasts of my life. Of my entire life, that was a train wreck. Everything they tried to do, instituting Jameis Winston, another guy that I love. I love Jameis Winston. I really do. I think he's a really good, fun guy. Not for baseball. Didn't need to be there. They had a camera, the center field camera, that was foggy, that didn't have a clear lens. How do you screw that up? They tried to do some fun stuff around the ballpark with the kayaks. Did they really need to bring 2 New York City cabs onto the field to introduce the Yankees? I thought it was nice that they introduced the Giants with a cable car. They came off the cable car. But overall, what they did, and what is our fascination with, I'm not a wrestling guy, but I don't rip wrestling. You never heard me ever say anything bad about WWE and wrestling. Never, because I don't want to unleash those fans on me. I don't want to unleash you guys who have loved wrestling at me. I get enough heat. The last thing I need is you wrestling guys coming after me. But do we have to include wrestling guys on baseball broadcast? Are you kidding me? The next time we have a WWE or Raw, are we going to have a baseball player come out? I mean, come on. It was awful. It was terrible. It was a money grab. It failed. It was not good at all. Barry Bonds on the pregame was okay because I got a chance to see Barry Bonds on the pregame. And Barry had a few cool things to say. But overall, Netflix, who might end up being great at this years down the road, put that thing together. It was an unmitigated train wreck. It was a disaster. That took broadcasting back to Cablevision, pre-Cablevision studio in Aurora, Illinois, Wayne's World in the basement. That's how bad it was. Hour number 2 coming up. My conversation with John Spytek is on deck. You don't want to miss that. And Eric Alen, the Hall of Famer. Last year at this time, getting ready for Eric Alen in the Hall of Fame. Now he's a Hall of Famer. How cool is that? EA in studio as we continue live from Raiders headquarters. This is Raider Nation Radio. Okay. All right, everybody. We're waiting on this audio because the Raiders, it's their audio. I work for the Raiders. They're going to put it out. Then they're going to give it to us. They're a little bit, they're just about to get it out here. Can you guys hear this? Let me know if you could hear this. How could you not hear this? It's the audio going into the microphone. That's weird. So you're not going to be able to hear this John Spytek interview then. So that's weird. I don't understand why you can't hear the audio. This is the audio I hear in my headset. and I put it here, and nobody can hear it, Azaz. No one can hear it. Explain to me how no one can hear our audio. Try it over here. That could be it, but
I turned it up a bit, so you can try it out.
Associated with the 872, proud partners of my show and Raider Nation Radio.
Sometimes life calls attention.
Somebody's saying the mic is off.
Oh, the mic is on. They can hear me. The mic is on. This is just headset audio going into that. Now, yes. Now they can. Okay, now we got it fixed. We probably got to turn that up a bit.
Yeah, just turn it all the way up.
Yeah, there you go. Too low. Everybody is bitching and moaning at the quality of this. Now it's too low. Turn it up a little bit and let's see if it happens. How about that? You can't hear any of this? There we go. There's a yes. There's not. So how the F does he say? Does Sand say no and the other guy says perfect? How is it perfect to one guy and then not good to the other? God damn it, man. Fucking guys are just freaking divas. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Can it be perfect? No, it's not perfect. Oh, fucking deal with a bunch of divas, man. It's not perfect. You expect this to be your home stereo? Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I'd like to, if you could bring it up and hear it, this would be a good part. This would be a good time to see what it sounds like. So. Yeah. Yeah, let's catch up to where we're at.
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is orange, Pilsner style Irish delivering a refreshing taste, with fighting spirit.
The other bullshit? That's a problem. Yeah. We are done experimenting. We are done experimenting with the audio. You'll either hear me or not. If you want to sign out and listen on radio, do what you got to do. I'm done. You guys are like blowing me up today, trying to do a fucking radio show. Everyone's bitching about how perfect the audio should be. Audio isn't perfect. I'm in a studio, which we're not connected to YouTube, so you're going to have to make it work. I've had too good of a day to have people bitching and crying about the level of audio. JT back with you, and we're rolling. Hour number 2 here. I interviewed John Spytek, and John Spytek was great. We're just waiting to turn around the audio for you on that, so you'll have an opportunity to hear that coming up here in a little bit. John Spytek with me exclusively. It will be on Raiders.com, and it will be on all of the Raider media platforms. Welcome back. We're live from Raiders headquarters. And what I think is a pretty unique time to be in this building here. There's a lot of changes going on, a lot of big changes, and that's the reason we came in to speak to John Spytek before he hits the road to the NFL owners meetings, which is going to be interesting coming up next week. A lot of people have been asking me about the succession of Mark Davis. I don't get involved with Mark Davis's trust and his family and what he's doing to set up his future. I mean, give me a break. I mean, if you want to report on that, report on that. I'm friends with Mark. When Mark decides he's going to walk away from the Raiders or sell the team, he will let me know. I'll be one of the first, I can promise you. But the way he's setting up his succession and what's going to be voted on over at the owners meeting will be unique. It's going to be one of the topics that are out there. But as we get going, I'm excited. I'm really excited to talk about what the Raiders did in free agency. and what they're going to be doing going forward. So in my conversation with John Spytek, we dove deep into the concepts of the strength of free agency and now going into the draft, what they have. And I think what they have is pretty strong. They look to be a vastly improved team than they were a couple of months ago. And I think everyone in Raider Nation, everyone should be thrilled about that. I mean, everyone. I mean, you couldn't have asked for anything more. You couldn't have asked for anything more. And then most Raider fans were really excited because on top of that, they went out and got Max Crosby back after it looked like Max was out. So if you would have given me the perfect offseason, I mean perfection, it would have been Max Crosby was never traded. They never even talked about it. Max stays. And then they go out and sign all the guys they signed. Now, if Max Crosby wasn't traded or stayed in the building, do you think they would have kept Malcolm Kuntz and got Kwity Paye? Probably not. But that's something now that John Spytek has that I think will improve this team going forward. I think that John Spytek going forward has a pretty good team heading into the draft where if he can get 3 to 4 starters, every year I say this, and Paul Gutierrez is going to join us momentarily. If the Raiders can get 3 or 4 starters in the draft, and they're going to get one, they're going to get the quarterback Mendoza. I believe he should start, but that could change. Maybe he doesn't start the first couple of games. I believe he should. I believe the number 1 pick overall should start. After that, if the Raiders' 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round pick, or if the Raiders trade picks to get 2 seconds, and then they have a 3rd, if they're able to do that, then I think overall I'd be really happy with 4 starters. Because I know they brought in 7 new starters, including bringing back, Eric Stokes, which I think was a pretty good move too. So with all that, we bring in Paul Gutierrez, who joins us from Raiders.com. He's been very busy because I think, Paul, you interviewed pretty much everybody who signed here via a free agency, which must have been exciting for you to get a head start and get to know these guys. How was that experience?
Yeah, it was. We're sitting here in the same studio. JT, thanks for having me. And it was good. It was good to get to know the guys from Tyler to the linebackers to the receivers. It was good to just get the sense of what their intention was when they first arrived here. And obviously it's to win, but also to be a part of this organization. And what I thought was really interesting has nothing to do with football, but to a man, every single one of them that sat down in this chair right here, they looked around and they were blown away by the studio. Right. And that to me told me that this is really cutting edge in terms of not just the studio, but it speaks to what this organization is trying to do going forward in terms of being at the front end of technology, at the front end of football. So for all of them to be here and to respect that and understand that, it was great. And then my personal impression on it was this: there's a certain theme. And when you're dealing with John Spytek and everything that he's done, there's a certain theme to the way he does things. And when he got here, he talked about the type of player he wanted. The type of player that they signed this time, they're all in that sweet spot of like 26 to 29 years old, 27 years old or so. They're young, they're free agents, but they already know how to win, JT. They got Super Bowl titles. They have individual accolades. They know exactly what they want to do, and they already know how to do it. And when you look at everybody on this roster, not a lot of guys on this roster know what winning on a consistent basis looks like, feels like, tastes like, smells like. So to bring in those guys here, that is just again, another feather in the cap of, as I called him, Chef Spytek, because he was really cooking there.
Yes, well done. I think the 27-year-olds and under on second contracts is a big deal.
Yeah. And that's the big thing about it, is because they're on their second contract, so but yet they're still hungry because they know how to win already. And that's what they're bringing to the roster, bringing to the facility, bringing to the locker room.
Let's talk about the linebackers. I thought it was critical to go out and get Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker. I wasn't expecting one of them, and they got 2.
Right.
So one, as I interviewed John Spytek, you got 2 heat-seeking missiles who can stay on the field. From what you learned on that process, how rare was that for any team to do that, to get 2 players of that quality, especially for a team that's getting the first pick overall? We're not talking about a team knocking on the doorstep to go to the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen often.
No, and when you talk about Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, those are 2 guys that fit perfectly in the middle of a 3-4 defense, a base defense, because that's what they're transitioning into, as Coach Kubiak talked about. So they fit the football mold. They also fit the personality mold of guys that want to be here. And like you said, they're heat-seeking missiles. I don't think there's any better way to describe those two guys. They're in the middle of the field. They see ball. They hit. They get ball. As Kirk Morrison told me, what he liked about those two guys, and especially Kirk being a linebacker himself, when they hit people, people fall down. And that's really what the name of the game is on that side of the ball.
Quiddy Pay, would he be here if Max Crosby didn't come back through the door?
Yeah, because he was already coming through anyway. So it just kind of strengthens a strength. And how do you not like that, right?
What about Malcolm Kuntz? Same question.
Same thing, yeah. I mean, again, these were all things that were agreed upon before Max Crosby was coming back anyway.
Right.
So I think it was a pleasant surprise to a lot of them. I think there was a lot of, from the players' perspective, they had to look around and kind of, it's like after you make a big play, you kind of readjust, you feel, and you make sure, okay, we're still here, we're good to go. And I think that was basically what happened in that afterglow of that shock, is just to say, okay, well, wait a minute, we still. No, we don't have that pick at 14 or 16, whatever it was, but we still have Max Crosby coming back. So you just kind of move on from there. And it makes, again, how can you be mad at making a strength even stronger?
Paul Gutierrez in studio. So tell me about quarterback depth, knowing that Mendoza most likely is coming. Where do you stand with Aiden going forward as a mentor? Because he's still too young to be a mentor, but he's easily available to play, and he's a pretty good player. Or the fact that a Kirk Cousins could be a backup now that Flacco's gone.
Right. Because
Cousins doesn't want to come off the field. I don't care what he says. If he walks through this lobby here and he thinks he's playing 4 games, he's going to want to play 10. What do you think the depth's going to look like after the draft?
Yeah, they need that. They still need that veteran. I'm comfortable with Aiden O'Connell being here. And again, because he's shown that he's adaptable, that he's malleable. Is he quarterback one on 31 other teams? Probably not. But he knows this organization. He knows what it's about. He's very, like I said, he's very, very adaptable to be able to do it. But I do, like you just mentioned, I do think they do need another veteran voice in that room. If it isn't Kirk Cousins, then that's something different too, because, he's made a lot of money along the way. So he's not going to make a lot of money coming here to do that. It's very, what it reminds me of, JT? I'll take you back to 2014 when Matt Schaub was going to be the guy. And then all of a sudden there was a little bit of dead arm. And then some rookie kind of came up out of nowhere and took the job from him in game 3 of the preseason, Derek Carr, and then he didn't let go of the job for 10 years almost. So it reminds me of that kind of a situation where you need that voice at least in there to kind of get things going, and then you just kind of take the girdle off, not the girdle, but you just like kind of let him go free. Take the apron, you cut the apron strings and let the young guy go.
I said this with Levi as he was just in studio last hour, that this is the need season for me. I don't do 7-round mock drafts. I think they're stupid. On radio, they're stupid. They're not stupid if you're sitting at home and you're in the backyard and you want to read 7-round drafts.
Sure.
It doesn't work on radio. But the Raiders, to me, it's all about need season. So we're going to have you on hopefully a bunch before and after the draft. As of today, which can change and evolve, what do you believe is the biggest need for this roster?
Yeah, and then I'll go back to a conversation I had with Tom Flores that I've shared with you before. He said, look, if you're drafting in the top 10, you don't have that luxury of drafting for need, because if you're in the top 10, you got needs all over the place. So we know now at number 1, let's just say for spit and giggles, it's the quarterback, it's Fernando Mendoza. Okay, so now the self-scouting is what's going on now. Are they okay on the offensive line? I'm not so sure they are. Maybe they need another right tackle, they got another veteran to play there in the middle, like we had talked about before. They need that big nose tackle. They definitely need that big nose tackle, especially in that 3-4 base.
And why hasn't it worked with all of the nose tackles who have been in this building since Las Vegas became the Las Vegas Raiders?
I think, what makes it more of a pressurized need now is because of going to the base 3-4. You need that big, huge space eater in the middle of that 3-4 defense on the line. That way you can stand Max up on the outside. You can stand Quiddy Pay up on the outside. You could have those 2 heat-seeking missiles in the middle of the linebacker core if you got that front 7 operating that way. Again, how often are we seeing teams in their base defense, or is a nickel really the base? You still need that player. So if you're looking in the second round and that big 350 pounder is sitting there, maybe that's where you go. I think you still need a wide receiver 1. I'm a big fan of Zachariah Branch. I don't know if he's there at number 2 or in the second round at 36, or if that's even a pick that the Raiders would entertain there. Do you need to move back up to get multiple picks? I don't know, but you do need that monster defensive tackle. You need a wide receiver one, and you kind of go from there. And I thought that coming into free agency, linebacker was huge. Well, they addressed that as we talked about right at the top.
I've always been a big believer of trading for a wide receiver one. Devontae, in theory, looked like to be a good trade. It was expensive. You can get wide receivers because some of them are divas, but then you don't want to bring a diva into the building, right?
Correct.
So you look at George Pickens, you go around the league, and you start to say who could have been available. I mean, Josh Allen's been looking for a wide receiver one. Stephon Diggs is a wide receiver one when he's playing well, but he's not there. He's a diva after a while. Goes to New England. Like, it's hard to keep. We tried it with Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a wide receiver who's engaged to leave a team and come to a new team and forget about the past and just be completely focused.
And you saw that with Devontae for at least a year.
Yeah, you did.
Even in my first year on the beat, Randy Moss, when he, before he decided he didn't want to run across the dirt infield anymore, he was locked in for a few games his first season. Antonio Brown never truly was. It's weird. It's just wide receiver one is a different animal in terms of the personality that comes along with it usually. So yeah, I'm not sure you're going to find that in the draft anyway. But I do like Zachariah Branch for everything else that he brings. He's maybe not your wide receiver one, but he's such a gadget player that you can just deploy him in certain situations all over the field. He's so fast. He's got good hands. He could be a kick returner. There's so many things. And that DNA that's running through his veins and what that would look like on the back of a Raider jersey, Branch. So there's a lot of things that I like about him. But I also think you have other more pressing needs too.
All right, let's wrap it up with baseball. We have nice conversations about the Dodgers and the Yankees. You are leading in the game of chess, but the board has been clear, and we're playing a new season of chess, right? So that was checkmate last year.
Yeah.
Even though I thought Toronto had your queen, all your bishops, and they were ready to end it. And I told you I right to your face, I said, winning that one last year, I think was going to take this Dodger team from 2 to maybe 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Losing last year could have changed everything and reset them mentally. Now that the Dodgers are a heavy, heavy favorite, and looking around the National League, the Padres are always thinking they're going to compete.
Right.
But who's there in your mind that you think in the National League could be within 10 games in the standings, let alone in the West? Do you have that one team?
Yeah, I mean, the Padres are always going to be that thorn in the side of the Dodgers, I think, just simply from being a rival in the division. But then again, are they really a rival because they haven't won anything? But it's just so random to me. When you look at the rest of the National League, Milwaukee seems like they should be that team, but I believe they suffered an injury already. It's just the Dodgers' biggest opponents this year are going to be the Dodgers.
Yeah, and the injuries.
I mean,
it's still starting off the year with that many pitchers kind of sidelined or coming back from an injury last year.
Yeah. And again, when you look at what they're trying to do and going forward, there's a hurry up and wait to this season as well, because there may not be baseball next year with another labor strike. So they need to try to, stay focused, try to get this, this three-peat like your Yankees in the 90s used to do, and go from there. And I'm just looking forward to, as long as Shohei does not go 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts, I think we're good.
That is a shot at the judge, who, by the way, was the captain of the United States of America, and they lose to Venezuela.
The silver medalist American team.
Schwarber took that thing off before he got.
It reminds me. It reminds me of Stacey Ogman, UNLV great,
I didn't hear this.
who played on the '88 Olympic basketball team when they got the bronze, and that was the reason for in '92 the Dream Team, because America didn't win the gold in '88. He was 18 years old. He was a freshman on that John Thompson coach team. After they got their bronze medal, young Stacey Ogman, 19-year-old Stacey Ogman, was so upset he threw his medal into the river in Seoul, Korea. I asked Stacey recently about that story. I'm like, hey, did that really happen? What happened? He just looked at me and he, man, that thing's wet. So he laughed. He did. He tossed it, but he said they replaced it for him. So it reminds me of that.
What are you working on today? Everybody can see it, Raiders.com.
Yeah, it's interesting. We actually did a special edition of Upon Further Review. I sat down and interviewed Jacob Fatu from the WWE universe, coming back to WrestleMania next month. So a huge Raider fan from the Sacramento area.
Good.
And we got down to some feuds and how he became a Raider fan as well.
That's Paul G, everybody. When we come back, hopefully we get our Spytek interview. We've been waiting to turn it around. It should come. And Eric Alen, the Hall of Famer, will join us in studio as we continue live from Raiders headquarters. This is Raider Nation Radio. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Yeah, I've been waiting to get this. I've been waiting to get this interview since 11 a.m. They're doing an edit. So Anyway, thanks for bailing me out there.
Awesome.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care, man. All right, everybody. I am down and out with this stream. We are going to come back in a much better mood tomorrow and get this thing ripping. I'll be from studio tomorrow for the first hour tomorrow. John Spytek interview's coming up. You'll be able to listen to it on the Raiders mobile app. That's where you'll be able to listen to it. We'll have it coming up next.